All right. So, do any of you want to share any of your stories? I mean, later on I can put the links in the description if you want to, or would you rather not? Any?
That's fine.
Okay.
It's okay.
Yeah. Maybe I'll make a long blog post, whatever, with all the stories or something.
hmm
Um.
Yeah, sure, do that. Why not?
Okay, so let's go with so basically, for anyone listening, we each of us wrote a bunch of short stories, and we are going to talk about them. So let's start with Kiasmon's
I
short
would say
story.
let's start with the best one. So I'd say Captain Eric's.
Okay,
I really liked it. It was very well written.
Oh,
I like the
thanks.
atmosphere of it.
I don't have such a writing talent.
Hang on, I'll just get it up. Oh god,
Let's start with Captain
okay.
Eric's. I think it was the best one.
Is it this one?
I'm sure it was the best one.
it was the one about a bunch of kids going to
Yeah,
collect.
in this story they're collecting tin cans, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
I've got it.
Okay, so I guess you could tell us what your story is about, Captain Eric.
Okay. So, in essence, what did I want to present in my story was the dichotomy between village and city. And I wanted to present it in more of a childish way, in more of a, playful and cheerful way, like, telling the story of three kids that one day were playing in the park and they were playing with a tin can and they realized that they can make some easy money out of it by selling, by grabbing tin cans from everywhere they could find and sell them to the scrapyard. And through their journey of collecting scrap metal and tin cans, they essentially found out that the city is really polluted and that the people in their city are not uh, they don't have any respect for what surrounds them, the nature, or other people in general. And when they saw that the city has become just a huge dumping hole for trash,
Mm.
they became repulsed uh, by such actions and wanted to see, you know, other places where they can find tin cans, not in the city or something like that. So they went to the park and then went to some hills, uh, like near a creek near their house, to find tin cans. And they found tin cans there also, and wanted to go to the village where was the scrapyard to which they wanted to sell the tin cans. And they went to the village. On their journey through the hills and the fields from the village, they got lost and found themselves in the back of a ranch. And an old man greets them. They were scared of the old man because they thought uh, that he was going to hurt them or, you know, scream at them, something like that. And it was exactly the opposite. He asked them if they got lost, and the kids were actually lost on the fields searching for tin cans, and they explained the whole story to the old man, to which he said that he's very proud of them and that he never saw such young kids get interested in things like that. And then he invited them into his garden, gave them some cherries, and told them a story about how when he was young he studied agricultural engineering and he saw how nature develops and saw how nature is affected by man and how man affects nature. And he was very, very, angered by this situation. So that's why he's in the countryside. He moved to the countryside from the city because he couldn't resist anymore to the pollution and things like that. And yeah, in a sense, at the end, they they collect everything they need from the village and then uh, go back homes, go back to their homes. They are really grateful for the day that they had, and then go back to sell the tin cans. And
Hmm.
then they get something like $2 out of them
Yeah,
because
exactly. I
they're
kind
not
of
a
like
small
that
cat
because
man.
it shows that it wasn't about the money. The important thing is, no matter what, in the end, they had a good experience in the countryside and they saw, let's say, a side of humanity that was lost in the city. I do believe the story, in its simplicity, like you said, it captures very well that feeling of childlike gleefulness, the simple things. That's what I
Mhm.
really liked, um, and that's what made it for me like feel like it reminded me of. I grew up in a. I wouldn't say it's a city; it's more like a big village, and on the outskirts of it, and it made me feel the same sort of that same kind of simple existence, even a little bit of naivete on the side of the children who wants to do something and they hope to get some money, but in the end, the most precious lesson is um, the important, like you said, the relationship between man and nature. So I
Yes,
think that's what it struck like a nostalgic chord with me, and that's why I really liked it. I could almost picture the hills. I could almost picture the difference, the juxtaposition between the city and the village.
and the story is actually projecting the opinions that I have
No,
the
no, but
most
they were.
about the
Uh,
city and the
I
village.
sort of agree also with the message. I'm not saying that all cities are awful. I'm not the kind of person who say, "Oh, we should all go back to live in villages." But for sure, there is an aspect of reality in this, like how very often in a big place you don't know the people around you, and thus you care less. Whereas a smaller, more tightly knit community holds something different. You know one
Exactly,
another, you take care of one another to a degree.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I've lived both in the city and in the countryside. So basically, the way that I see it is that so the best thing about living in the city is also the worst thing about living in the city, which is that like, um, uh,
Exactly.
other,
Pros, you live in a city. Cons, you live in a city.
yeah, I mean that if, when you live in a city, other people don't care about what you do that as much,
Hmm.
and you might, and obviously in many ways that's a bad thing. But at the same time, in even it's a small community, like like there are all sorts of rumors, bored housewives.
Oh,
Um,
of course, that's
yeah.
true.
Um,
But at the same time, you can deal those in a bit more of a direct way. It reminds me of the time that someone spoke ill of my grandmother and my grandfather to. There was no need of cease and desist. He just went and straight punched the person in the face, and that was the end of it. And suddenly the voices stopped being spread around.
so
My grandfather was a very direct person, by the way, when
yeah,
it came to this thing.
yeah, it's especially the women though. That's it.
Yeah, no, exactly. He punched a woman.
Okay, okay. Okay.
Sorry, I just enjoy telling this story because I always start with it, and it was a woman that he punched.
Okay. Bless him. So,
Great man.
Fahrenheit, do you have any feedback for Captain Eric's story?
Yeah, just one thing I really did want to say or just bring attention to is oftentimes you'll switch between past and present tense.
Yeah, I realized that as well. It was the only thing I
Yes,
would have said it was a problem.
that's my grammatical problem.
Yeah, it was just a minor flaw. I'm not gonna say it was the end of the world,
Yeah,
but
I just wanted
sometimes
to bring
it's a bit weird.
I just wanted to bring attention to this, just
Mhm.
in case, because there's points, I mean,
Yeah, I felt a bit
I've got something right in
confusing there
front of
are
me
a couple
here.
of times
Um,
when at one point he has I think it's when they are talking with the guy outside the village who offers them the cherries. It was a little bit like, it almost felt a little bit like whiplash going from past to present tense. But
Yes,
if with that removed, I still think the story, the feeling of the story was what I really loved the most.
yeah,
I think
you know,
Fahrenheit is as a point
you,
there though.
yeah, when you're sort of putting your own personal opinions into a narrative, it's like okay, so I'm going to use a metaphor here. When you're writing a like short story or just a
Mhm.
story, you're like trying to sand down like some words, right? You're trying to make this like smooth form, and you don't really want any like rough parts there. But so and this is like this is unavoidable. But oftentimes when you put in your sort of own personal opinions into something and you're not just explaining what's going on, right? Because preferably you just showing the reader what's going on would lead to them sort of naturally deciphering your like conclusions and things.
Mhm.
But oftentimes, and this is often unavoidable, is you kind of have to put that knot in the wood there at some point where you have to like include the message, right? I think this story is kind of on the rough side, um, but it's written quite simply,
Yeah,
right?
that's what I liked about it. It felt like, in that way, not childish, but childlike.
Yeah, yeah, um, yeah. It's just if you're writing something so simply, when you sort of I don't know like bring up the subtext, it does end up sticking out basically.
Mm.
I think it could be made I don't know like more subtle. That's probably the wrong word, but
That I can agree. Yes, it was a
I
bit
think
certain parts were a bit on the nose, but I see what won me over. I think more than say this is the one that caught me a little bit like maybe off guard. Eric's story, because I really like the atmosphere. It made me think it's a little bit like the scene from Ratatouille when the critic eats the the ratatouille and he has that
yeah, yeah.
flashback. It's sort of, I had that same kind of feeling to a degree. For example, I do believe your story Fahrenheit is the best when it comes to dealing with that, like the pacing, and the teams are very interesting. I really liked it, but I do believe Captain Eric's got me on the feels. Like that's why
Yeah,
I
yeah.
still
Well,
love this story.
I will say, I know I'm very conscious that I've been like quite a down on you, Eric, but it was definitely a very earnest story, and it was like interesting to read, right? It
Mhm.
wasn't a like total failure or something, but it was it was decent. Um,
The feelings came. What I liked was like it was raw in a sense. Everything
yeah,
came. The feelings were naked. In not an era, I want to say naked, not like something with a sexual note, but more like the nakedness of a child
Don't
when
no,
worry.
it's born,
Don't worry.
something like pure.
I,
And that's what I liked it. It was like this earnest attempt of showing. some moments, some emotions,
So
and that's why I really liked it.
so I guess my feedback would be that, well, at the start at least, it felt a little bit like a civic studies class, like when they were talking about a civic studies class about recycling.
Yeah, I felt a little bit
I
of
didn't want
like
to
a
sound like
report at
that.
the beginning, but
I didn't want to sound like that, and I thought that you're going to think about it like that,
mm.
but I didn't want to sound like that.
okay, well, I felt it was done a little bit on purpose. So
Yeah, but I think it gets better when the theme becomes after the old man shows up. And I guess another thing which I noticed was that how that they got from the city to the countryside pretty quickly. But I guess it's
yeah, the
um,
time skip felt a little bit strange to a degree, but
but
it's also because of the time constraint of the words constraints. So I
yeah,
sort of like understood it. Plus, being told in this kind of like childlike memoir form, time skips oftentimes are common in when you remember one thing, then you jump to the next. There are these kind of gaps that are easily bridged in a sense.
yeah. Any other feedback, Fahrenheit, or is that it?
Um, I think actually one thing that is worth mentioning is that we did have like a like vague what's the word, a vague template which was basically follow like some of these four words, which is which is a melancholy, nature, looking back, and traveling. And I say a good job was done here to follow at least like two of them, which was which was pretty good. I just
Mhm.
wanted to mention that.
For me, to a degree, the melancholia felt a little bit in rather than direct induced, and it was I brought it on myself because it felt like I could almost see those places, and so it pulled the right string in my case. I'm not saying it has to be for everyone like this, but I felt like it eats all three of them, two of them directly, one of them more like indirectly.
Yeah. 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 I
Whereas I
think
think
the
in your short story it was done way better when it came to the sort of direct approach, but done from the kind of right angle when it felt in between, like someone actually contemplating upon the past.
yeah. One thing I do the thing is that this story the idea is good. It's just the actual like execution was a little bit
It's a bit
flawed
rough
because
around the edges,
just
yes, but
yeah just because of the grammar, right?
mhm,
And this is like good news, right? Because all you need to do is just like get better at grammar,
yeah,
learn what tense, what past and present tense is. Obviously, I'm sure you
I
know
still
that, but yeah, like that's all that's really needed, and I think your next thing will be
mhm.
better.
Okay, so next, let's talk about Kiasmo's story then. So yeah, Kiasmo,
Yeah,
what's your story about?
Simple story about someone taking a few days off from work, begrudgingly so, and suddenly he realized he sort of fell into a trap. It's brother and sister traveling somewhere in the countryside. The brother is like disgruntled that he has to go on this trip because it's been probably begged to go, and all of a sudden realizes this camping site is the same place where he sort of first went camping with his old man. And at the end, at the beginning, it's like very dismissive, like why am I even here? No point in trying to get away from the city, this like useless, bogus stuff. And then at the end, he comes to be like sort of grateful because he realizes he has a connection to this place, and it's good every once in a while to run away from your daily routine. That's it. It's a very simple, straightforward story.
Yeah. Yeah. It's obviously you have some experience writing stories, so that shows.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot. It was very yeah. It's very yeah. You know, it just felt like a slice out of someone's life, basically.
Honestly,
I lost quite a bit.
it's a very simple concept, but that's why I think I kind of like it, just to try and say something that it's relatable to everyone, because we live in a I was about to say we live in a society, but
um,
we all have a job. We all have limited time to rest and relax. And sometimes we just feel like, why do I even need to go somewhere? I'm just going to stay in the city. I'm just going to stay wherever I am. Just maybe go out at night when it's not so hot. Go somewhere, and that's it. And sometimes it's better to try and drag ourselves out of our routine. So that was what I tried to say. For example, sometimes I'm very reluctant to book longer holidays and go back home. I find it difficult, but inevitably, when I'm at home, I feel so much better, even if it's just for 1 week seeing my parents. And I wanted to say the same thing here. Very often, we trap ourselves in this like cycle of go to work, rest, go to work, rest, and that's it.
yeah, I guess my initial reaction to was that I like so basically the story is about like somebody going back to somewhere they have been when they were a kid, and
Hmm.
I don't know, like I've had that experience, and unfortunately, usually like it's a disappointing one because that moment is gone, and also I kind of feel like back when I was a kid, it was a lot easier to have fun. I,
That's also
yeah.
true.
So whereas getting all the being to the same place again,
No, of
yeah,
course,
yeah.
everyone has a different experience. For example, for me, it was the opposite. Like um, for almost 10 years, I never went back to my great grandmother's house. That now it's like the family, whoever has the time, goes there. And I was like, it's not gonna matter that much. And oh my, it mattered. Like there were those few little things that I didn't realize how much in a sense, they changed from when I was a child to when I was an adult. And I try to do a little bit that too when he describes some of the areas. Of course, with a limited word count, I couldn't go too much into detail, but it was the same for me when I went 2 years ago back to my great grandmother's house, and I was like, oh, I remember when I was a child and I used to climb this tree or this rock, and it felt like it was a different world. And at the same time, I was grateful to be back there.
Yeah, it seems like the word count. Yeah, I kind of ignored it anyway. So
It was interesting to try and work around those limits. I had to jump a little bit too early into their cheerful mood. I would have preferred to go a bit longer with him being like this sort of fatalistic, very green person complaining about everything and smoking cigarettes and just pretending
not to
not
enjoy.
to care.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Captain Eric, any I guess feedback, improvement, whatever you think could be done.
Criticism, I'm open to it.
Hello, Captain Eric.
Yes.
So yeah, any feedback for Chiasmo's story?
Well, I really liked it. It was really nice. It sometimes struck me a little bit of sadness, but what I really liked was that the final moment, when he's really grateful for going back to that place, and he says that he's going to come back again, which is really nice. But negative objections, no, I don't have any. Really good.
Oh my. No, well, the point was that trying to play a little bit on the like on the heartstrings, like being a little bit overly melancholic, which is something that being Italian I can try and pull out rather well.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, I do want to say that you basically did nothing wrong with this story, and there is a particular bit I like. It's sort of when he arrives, and he has he has that like self-aware moment that's very characteristic of of that of the kind of guy he is, right? It's sort of this section, I shrug. Does it really matter? There,
Yeah,
there are
I
hundreds of
wanted.
camping areas like this,
I really like
where
to.
one
Yeah,
can
I like
to be
it
in the
to
wilderness, and
play a
then it
little
sort of
bit on
goes
that
on,
side.
yeah, it sort of goes on, and it says, and then go on spouting empty platitudes about the beauty of going out to the city. Out of the city and experience harsh yet rewarding pleasures of the night in the woods, and blah blah blah. I thought
That
that was a very
funny enough,
nice
that
touch.
that small part came because of there is a YouTuber is from England, Morgoth's Review, and I sort
Yes,
of
yes,
to get his own, like he has this kind of like a little bit. He's grungy, but in the right way, I would say.
yeah. He's like really great to listen to. I
Exactly,
agree.
I really like him. So I try to capture a little bit that kind of. Um, I wouldn't say it's sour. It's more like it's a little bit bitter for things that some people misunderstand, and to a degree, it's not like the character in the story completely changes his opinion on. There are those people who do exactly that. They go for a couple of days in the countryside. They're like, "Oh yeah, I was so in contact with nature and blah blah blah," literally. But in this case, it's because the sister played the right card. He brought it to a place that she knew he was going to remember somehow. So that's the saving grace in a sense. She knew the weakness of his brother, and I try to play in this like how women sometimes know how to manipulate us men.
Yeah, and yeah, let's keep it like that for YouTube. So yeah, so any other feedback, Fahrenheit?
I mean, I will admit that I've only read this right before the stream, so I haven't
Sorry,
really had time
I
to.
feel like yesterday night I came home around midnight. I was like, tomorrow morning, I don't know if I'll be able to write. So I just
Yeah,
compiled last few parts. I rearranged some of the beats, and that's it. I must admit, I had the idea going on in my head, but I just wrote it down in like 10 minutes, and then finished it and refined it in another 30 minutes. I slacked on this assignment, so my bad
yeah. I
for
mean,
being
it's
like this.
fine. I mean, I could point out like minor spelling mistakes, but I don't think that matters. Like it's like most of it is like like 99% of it is spelled correctly.
Yeah,
I
sorry.
guess.
Right, a suggestion to anyone writing: double check what you write when it's like 2 in the morning.
I
Yeah,
know.
yeah, I spent ages like checking over my my story, but even I like one or two errors slipped in there for me. You know, it's not easy writing. You know,
No, of course. First of all, sometimes you write a word and you just misspell it, or other times you write the word, the spelling is correct, but it's the wrong word.
yeah, exactly. Or you're like you're writing a word and then like your like phone like autocorrects to a
Yeah.
different word.
Yeah. So that's the good thing about short deadlines. You get it out without worrying too much
Hmm.
about
Yeah.
it being perfect or whatever.
It's a bit rough around the edges, but at the same time, it's
Better than not doing it.
purer. Yeah, it's like
Um,
there is that raw energy behind it.
if it
Okay, so sorry to interrupt, but my English teacher wants something from me, so I'm going to give a
Uh,
general feedback. Uh,
all
all
right.
all the stories were good. I don't have any objections, sincerely. But mine, I know that I had some grammatical errors, something like that. But the other stories were good. The narrative was good, and if I had negative objections, it would be small ones. So,
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
if I
It was good to have you on, Eric.
come back, I will come back. Okay.
Yeah.
All
All
right.
right.
Catch you in a
Okay.
bit then.
I'd like to chat with you. So good day.
See
Bye.
you
Yeah.
later.
See you. Yeah, I don't know. Eric's English teacher always gets in our way. So,
We'll have to do something about it in the future.
yeah. So, yeah. If the word count was a little bit higher, would you have included more dialogue?
Maybe
Hmm.
I wanted to especially expand on the transition, like maybe delay a little bit the realization of the character, let it play a bit longer with them setting up for the nights, or propping up the tent, getting everything ready. Maybe his sister trying to involve him a little bit more in the preparations.
Hmm.
But overall, I'm content with what I was able to write.
Y-
Fahrenheit. Now, I do believe your story is the one that I felt was the best one when it came to the execution of the sort of nostalgia, the sort of melancholic tone of it, with this person looking back at the events that led him to be there. And I really like the idea of him too deciding to go for this sort of last walk into the unknown.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Whereas Captain Eric won me over with his, let's say, the feelings won me over. But yours was, I think, the best written. Came to how to actually develop
b- b-
the
bas-
story and the characters.
yeah. Basically, like it's easier to relate to, I guess, the stories which Yuki Asmo and Eric wrote, because that's something that you can actually experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to. Yeah. Let's talk about yours next, students.
All right. Okay.
Very unique. This one, I think yours is like the most unique. I think out of all our stories.
Hmm.
Yeah. So the background image for this stream is so the thumbnail as well is a character called Kikyo from Inuyasha, and well, the thing is,
And she is, huh?
Miko, she's a Miko, a shrine maiden, whatever you want to call her. Uh, yeah. So anyway, I don't know. I don't know. I didn't know any. I still don't know anything about Miko's or whatever. So yeah, and yeah. So basically, my story is I cheated. So the way that I cheated was that I used this game called Made RPG. It's a tabletop RPG game, and I rolled a bunch of characters and monsters.
I
Uh,
see.
and could you say that? Could you say that this was basically like I guess a solo RPG session essentially.
It felt a little bit like in some places, yes, like with the arrows and the bullets missing
Yeah, I mean, for
some
example,
of the interactions.
yeah, for example, the thing about the rabbit ears, like I just rolled that, like she would have
No way.
invisible rabbit ears, and I'm like, what the hell am I supposed to do with this? Uh,
Wait a second. In this game, there is a dice roll for random rabbit ear appearing on a character.
yeah. It's so basically it's an tabletop RPG from Japan. So, where the GM, the game master, plays the part of the master, and the players play the role of his mage. So the master in this story would be the god Igukami, but he really doesn't show up in any way. So yeah.
Yeah. So I've got a question. Did you like was the obligatory bathing scene like rolled for, or did you just like include that because it's obligatory?
That's obligatory. That's it.
Yeah, that's obligatory.
Let's see.
If the story is set in Japan, there is an obligatory bite.
uh,
We all know that.
so one of the other things which I was so worried about, so like the weapons as well, like so there's a weapon list where like you just roll against the uh, um, the weapons, and you decide what weapons your mates, so in this case Miko, are going to use. But I didn't really use that because like some of the weapons are like a frying pan, a bazooka, and like there was nothing appropriate for a Miko. So I guess I gave one the longbow,
Yeah.
which is the weapon which also Kikyo from Inuyasha uses. By the way, Kikyo basically Rumiko Takahashi is very good at drawing cute characters. Let's put it that way.
That's undeniable.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we watched Urusei Yatsura by her. But I couldn't come up. So basically, I just did some Google searches about Miko's and whatever else, and decided to just add words. I mean, I think the Japanese do a good job enough. Good job enough, well enough, flanderizing their own culture. So it's okay when I when I just make up stuff. Like for example, like many of the names for the Japanese names for like the divine branch thing and the clothes and whatnot. Maybe were not really necessary, but I just included them because I felt like it. So I guess Fahrenheit. Any feedback?
Yeah, it was very interesting to read because I was reading through it and I was thinking, oh man, everything has like a special name. It's like it was kind of like reading like a wiki, but it wasn't really like it had that sort of like
that was the only
level of
difficult
detail.
part.
It's like okay, so I'm reading through it now. So there's this god called Ikigami. I'm sure I should like remember that. But knowing now that how you wrote it, it all makes a lot more sense now. Why there's like a weird amount of detail in like some places, cultural, historical detail.
Mhm.
It makes a lot of sense. I did like how you split it up, right? Where you had the introduction, and then you had the Gundam fighter ready go
Yeah.
section, and then obviously the ending scene, which
Mhm.
was obligatory, of course.
Yeah. I think I got the action part from the ready action from Bigo, but it's basically the same thing. um,
Yeah.
G Gundam Bigo, like the same thing. Yeah. So I guess part of the reason why it also got divided again is probably because like it's basically an RPG session, so you would have like the characters introducing
Mhm.
like the way that the rules were set out was something like you introduced obviously like it's not supposed to be played solo, so I had to do everything, but basically the GM would explain like what the mansion, quote unquote mansion, that the maids would be in would be called, and the mansion in this case, of course, is the temple. So the temple gets described first. Next, the player characters are supposed to like introduce themselves and say what it is that they are doing as maids in in that session. By the way, like there's no leveling up or down because this is basically made for like one-off sessions essentially. By the way, Fahrenheit, there's also a module, or rather an optional, how do you say, a PDF. Let's put it that way. There's a PDF made by the people who translated Made RPG into English, and the thing about basically, if with that PDF you can use it rather than like in a generic like European styled mansion with maids. Rather than that, you can like convert it to a high school or whatever. So maybe if you want a bit of randomness for your for the visual novel, because it's set in a high school, maybe you could try that out. What else is there to say? Yeah, like I didn't go into that much detail, and there's an obvious mistake which I missed, which was yeah, and the characters, everything about the characters was basically randomly generated as well. I could have used like an online random generator, but it's more fun to like basically just roll dice and see what the hell you will get. Okay, what else is there to say? Oh yeah, I did a very basic mistake, which was pointed out by the street always wins in the chat, which is that like
Mhm.
the name of the evil god, like I wrote this whole in one go.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
changed a little bit.
yeah. No, I'm not even sure which one is supposed to be the right one anymore. So pick whichever you like.
We need to go and ask a Shinto expert about that.
Yeah,
That's
but yeah, it was kind of interesting, I guess, writing this because like I had to, I guess, Google around about Mikos and
No,
whatnot.
no, of course.
Like
Interacting with other cultures we do not know much about, and we don't usually interact with is usually quite interesting.
like for example, the stone which houses the spirit of the demon which has been locked in. That's based on there's this thing called Sesho Sihi or whatever, like which is basically just a rock which cracked a few years
Mhm.
back ago, where like the spirit of Kitsune.
Releases the Kitsune spirit,
Yeah.
because they got like those special ropes that they put to prevent certain entities from escape.
Yeah. So basically, just imagine the full stone monument. Like that's another thing. Like I just didn't have anything in mind about like what the stone monuments should look like. That's one thing which I probably should have described. Yeah, and the weapons. So I was able to find the Yume, obviously for I can't remember the name, but for one Miko. And for the other one, I didn't really give her a weapon or anything because she was just doing defense. And for the last one, I just didn't have any ideas to it, so I said fuck it and gave her like a revolver with magic bullets, like it's fate or something. Um, so I guess one of the things which I was very worried about was which obviously tripped Captain Eric as well, was the tense, because like when I was writing it, I was like writing it as if it was happening now, because that's like usually how you think, right, in a tabletop RPG kind of way. Did you see any mistakes regarding tense, either of you?
No.
No, it was
Yeah.
no, it was fine. I didn't see any mistakes.
Yeah.
So I've got like mega distracted now. I'm looking at the at like the Toho wiki, or however you say it.
Yeah.
Why
There's like
would you
there's
do
like
that?
there's like 7,533 pages, by the way, on his
I'm
wiki
not
alone.
surprised. Knowing the Toho fans, surprised.
Okay, so I guess did you feel like the maids were distinct at all? When it comes to the not the maids, the Miko were distinct at all when it comes to character? Because
That was maybe the weak point of the story. Some of the characters felt a little bit interchangeable, especially during the battle scene.
yeah,
But other than that, I kind of liked it, especially the ending. I sort of liked the sudden sort of twist. It was grim to the right degree without feeling too oppressive.
yeah. Basically, I suddenly remembered that like we had like a list of words that we were supposed to like somehow work into this. And I don't know. I guess there's some quote unquote looking back, because the head Miko, the head Miko, Hizumi or whatever her name was. I guess because like she looks, I don't know if it was clear enough, but she's supposed to look like a 9-year-old, but actually she's over 100.
Yeah.
Yes, and
That trope.
and she's bitter about the fact that basically in exchange for her immortality, which she basically became immortal to make sure to look after the temple and make sure that the evil god does not escape.
Yes.
But in exchange for that, so basically, when I was rolling, what I got was that she's supposed to be actually a dude. So I made it so like the cost that she had to pay in order to for her immortality is that like she basically had to lose her manhood and sort of become a woman, essentially, or something. I don't know if that was clear enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, I guess it didn't really have any importance. Like, you know,
Yeah,
it was
he had no
it
real
was just sort of
bearing
like
on
it was just sort of like you know,
detail.
inconsequential, you know, like side detail.
Mhm.
I think, yeah, I mean, like, let's not talk about the word list, shall we? I guess you did hit the nature words, um, but less so the melancholy,
Yeah.
the looking back and the traveling. But you know, I mean,
I guess
though, you know, you will know the famous saying, the sovereign decides the exception, and you're running this, so it doesn't matter.
yeah, especially the word count. I just didn't care about that.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess with the traveling I tried to cover by having one of the Mikos like being
Yes, she came
she's like samurai who
from
traveled
yeah.
something from temple to temple. Uh, yeah, like but rather than fighting dojos or whatever, she just kills demons.
Hmm.
I guess
Yeah.
the melancholy was supposed to be that thing at the end with the with the with the invisible rabbit ears suddenly showing up because the witchcraft. So initially I wanted the for the melancholy to hit. I wanted her to actually die, but I kind of felt like if I so that's why you have that passage in paragraphs
Hmm.
where like the head made things that like this was what the evil god which is me I guess planned for the for that maid to die like for her to feel
Hmm.
sad or whatever. But
Yeah.
I sort of just changed that without really a reason. Come to think of it, so I guess what I was thinking was that when they killed the demon, the minion demon, or whatever, then actually I wanted the evil demon to like the actual the sort of the demon god or whatever the evil god to show up, and then when after the evil god dies, also the Miko with the rabbit ears would also die because she was only able to survive until only if her master and creator was still alive or something like that. But she still
Hmm.
she would have still chosen to fight with her Miko friends because the power of friendship or some shit like that. Um, yeah, and I think so. When I rolled for the age for how old they were, I basically, yeah, I basically there's no rules for that. Basically just rolled a d20, and I think she was only supposed to be like 5 years old, even though she looks like she's 18 or something, because she was only created. She was only supposed to be created 5 years ago in order to subvert the temple something like that. Um, yeah, and yeah, I think the hard about not being able to tell the different characters apart. Well, let me see what I rolled for their personalities um, at the start. So for Kamiya, the spy Miko, uh, I rolled. She was supposed to be a cool heroine, which
Hmm.
so that's supposed to be cool. By cool they mean composed, expressionless, unflappable. Though, like, but that's not her character at all. Yeah. And I think I also rolled another cool heroine anyway. That was Hizumi, the head Miko. So let's see, what else did I roll for Kamiya? So this is the rabbit head, the rabbit headed whatever, the rabbit eared Miko. So by heroine, they mean earnest, single-minded, tries her best. So I think I got that right at least.
Yeah.
I also wrote that one of the relationships that she has is that she sees one of the other maids, or in this case Miko, as a mentor. So I guess I basically just stated it that she sort of sees the head Miko as sort of a mentor or something. And I also wrote that like she has dark brown tan skin, which I don't know. I guess that's supposed to mean that she's a demon or something. Yeah. So that's yeah. So yeah, and her eyes were red and hair silver. Yeah, Yugami, the one with the bow, the traveling Miho or whatever. She was supposed to be very shy. And yeah, but I don't know. I think both Yugami and Hizumi, the the 100-year-old one, were kind of silent essentially. Yeah, but I also rolled quiet for her. So yeah, basically I just ended up with a bunch of characters that I don't know how to role play as yeah. I see. So any other feedback?
I think you made 3 very good OCs. I can't wait for your DeviantArt submissions
Well,
later.
You can always commission them if you do it yourself.
Yeah. What about you, Kiasmo? Any other feedback? I guess possible improvements.
It was the action scene. The action scene was kind of nice, but a little bit too fast paced, so to say. I'd love to see a bit more, a little bit more of the thoughts of the characters during the battle, but I kind of like it.
Yeah, I will say the monster that attacks them. I think I don't I think you mentioned like 3 times, like 3 separate times, how it was like shifting in and out of reality. I feel like one time like would have sufficed.
Yes,
You know,
a
like
bit of repetition here and there. Still,
yeah,
it was kind of an interesting take.
Yeah. So,
yeah. I mean, it was
Miko.
you know sort of considering how like you wrote this. It is actually like pretty good, like as like a adaptation. Like to be honest.
Of a short tabletop adventure.
yeah. Basically, I kept on rolling bad rolls. So I couldn't just kill this demon and get to the next scene. So I had to come up with delaying tactics and whatnot. About the demon shifting in and out of reality. So the idea was that like after one of the stones gets broken, its existence becomes more permanent in this world. So basically, it was shifting in and out of reality, not as a tactic, even though that made it hard to hit. But it was shifting out.
Of a consequence, yes.
Because
I also noticed that it gained a speed boost after it stopped shifting. I can like kind of guess some like game mechanics as well, which is something I both like love and also hate so much as well.
actually, like there's almost no game mechanics in made. Basically, you have a bunch of attributes. The attributes athletics, affection, skill, cunning, luck, and will. And I won't explain how to roll for them, but basically you roll 2d6s and divide that by 3 and then round it down. But basically you get a number like which is all the between 1 and 3 or something like that for each of the attributes. And then so like earlier when I said that Kamiya was a cool heroine, I meant you basically have to roll a mate type, and that's what I got. And based on that, you get some. You either add some to the roll or remove some from the roll. But anyway, yeah. Anyway, so you basically, or rather, the GM decides, depending on what type of action you do, which of the 6 attributes you're rolling with. So for the one with the bow, I decided that it would be athletics. Whereas the one holding up the barrier, I decided that it would be the skill attribute, because the skill attribute is supposed to be it's supposed to be her skill as a maid. Well, in this case, as a Miko. So I just assumed that, like, yeah. So I use that. So basically, you multiply that attribute by whatever you roll by rolling a 1d6 die. Yeah, and another thing about this game is that, like, you only need to have 2d6 basically. So a d6 is just a 6-sided die. You basically just need to have 2 of those, and the reason for that is because I guess RPGs are not as popular in Japan. So basically, because of that, what they do is that in Japanese RPGs, like they have a lot of charts, and you just use 6-sided dice. So what was the point I was trying? So yeah, so basically you just multiply that by that attribute number by whatever you roll, and then the monster also does the same. Whoever has, like, you don't decide who attacks first, or like stuff like that, or like stealth and whatnot. It's basically whoever has the highest number wins. Yeah, and yeah, that's it really. And then you just subtract the difference from the health points, or the equivalent.
Okay.
So it, like, and also, like, the weapons usually don't mean anything. Like they don't add or subtract anything.
What kind of RPGs?
Basically, they call it an RPG, but what it is basically is a bunch of random tables.
Yeah, very random.
A bunch of anime random tables, essentially. And yeah, I think originally it was published in a magazine as well. And basically, what the English translators did is that they took all of the stuff from different magazine issues and shoved it together and called it a day.
Shoved it together.
All right. Yeah.
We also reviewed these tabletop games.
Yeah, maybe we could run it, but we would have to. I would have to ask the GM suspend the seduction rules, because I don't want any of you to try to flirt with me, or to watch you try to flirt with each other.
Too late. Now we got a plan for next week.
Oh yeah, and the way that you're supposed to win this game, by the way, is by you can't actually die in this game. You can only take stress, and after you take enough stress, you basically end up in a stressed state, which again you decide by rolling what that is. Like it could be something like, or you just get drunk, or you spend all your master's money, or you just faint, or you go and hide yourself in a confined place, and you will do that for an equal amount of time that like your HP has gone down or something like that. So if you're like at minus 6 or whatever, like it would be like you would have to like role play as that stressed state for like that amount of time in real time. So like even if you leave the table and come back in 6 minutes, then like oh yeah, then it's all right. Yeah. So the way that you win is by whoever gets the most favor by the master. So the GM essentially. Yeah. So that's how it is. I also used some other stuff. I used what's this thing called? So there's this YouTube channel called Me, Myself, and I.
Interesting title.
And it's not I at the end; it's die, as in the thing that you roll, and it's basically some voice actor who is doing solo RPG essentially. So one of the things which he uses, so he uses something called Mythic GM Emulator, which is I guess sort of an oracle, which just basically answers yes or no questions. So I've put it simply. But another interesting, and I was thinking of using that because I've got it, but I didn't really get a chance to use it. I don't know. I guess I didn't really need it because there's already enough random stuff in in the mid RPG. But another thing which I did use very briefly, but didn't really play any part, was so it's a PDF called UNE, the Universal Npc Emulator, and yeah, I think I actually had to pay for this thing, but it wasn't like it was just a couple of bucks. So, so basically, it's to create NPCs. So like you would roll a D100, and like so I'll just pick an example. So if I roll 49, I would get the first word would be scholarly, and the second word, which would be a noun, would be, let's say that I roll 49 again, it would be governor, so a scholarly governor, and then you can also roll for their motivation, and I did that for the two gods, I think, but it never really hit. So what I got, so for Igukami, I got an unreasonable merchant, and his motivation was to attempt opulence. So I decided that he would be a greedy god, which didn't really play a part. Like I think that there was one line there, like he said that like you will have to pay dearly for using my assistance for so little, and I guess even though like they're defending his temple, so like yeah, so that's how I took that to be. So I guess they would have to pay him by sacrificing gold or something. Yeah. Oh, Eric is back.
Yes.
Okay, so we were talking about my story. What did you think of it?
Well, as I've said, it is all of them were good, and I don't really have any bad feedback about them.
I see.
So yeah.
Yeah.
I admired your age. I admired your Asian tone in your Asian. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. It's basically just a random random stuff that I googled about Mikos. Yeah. Yeah. I guess.
Yeah, speaking of RPGs that the server might be running soon, maybe um, um, Xeon Deacon's Strongest Soldier
Burgundy.
was talking about running. Yeah. He was talking about running a D&D session at some point in like next month or something.
Yeah.
So maybe that's something we want to like, I don't know, like maybe like stream or something. But I don't know.
Certainly.
It'll probably be
Yeah. Yeah.
it'll probably be like quite a painful to watch because I've like never played that game before, so I've like no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah. I mean, I guess. I mean, if again I had used more time, and ignored the the bird count even further, then I would have probably, at least for the combat, like maybe I could have used made to generate the characters and stuff, but maybe for the combat I could have used something more detailed like D&D. But I don't know, like the thing with D&D combat, if you have seen any actual play sessions, like I haven't actually played it, but like you can watch people playing it on YouTube, and listen to people playing it in podcasts, and like the combat takes forever.
Yeah, you need to describe the action, how it's performed, roll the dices. So
Yeah, I kind of purposefully went for made RPG especially because I bought it intending probably to solo it. That it would like get very tedious if I was like playing D&D, three different D&D characters and the GM, like I would die, or something. Have you played any tabletops? I think you probably have, Casmo.
not the real version. I played some of the let's say online ones, and I played a couple of like sessions with someone from my workplace. Funny enough.
Yeah, like you are much more advanced into fan culture than us, Yasma. I think you're.
Well, it was a strange. I don't remember the name of the RPG. It was set in sort of like it was like sci-fi, not really fantasy. It was more like it wasn't cyberpunk. It was a different one. I don't remember the name. I don't remember. It was kind of fun. I was playing at the time. We like made randomly generated characters for each one of us, and I ended up with a cat girl. So it was kind of
Yeah.
weird. Yeah, I had to play a female character. It happened to be a cat girl. Just
Yeah. Somebody in the recording channel asks, "Die SOS brigades, do the RPG session when?" Indeed.
Yeah, or someone.
yep, someone.
Yeah, someone who played an Echo Mimi, I guess. So yeah, the action. I guess I could have played a more an RPG which went into more detail with the combat if I was going to do this.
Yeah, it was fine for the purpose of the short story. 1,000 words. It felt enough. Gave enough details.
Yeah.
No overstating certain things.
So Fahrenheit. Other than the combat,
Yes, hello.
yeah. Other than the combat, any other points of improvement?
I mean, a lot of it could could have been shaved down. Really, I mean, we didn't like have to know the like biological age of these girls. Really, I mean, um, I don't know. It was
It's also
it was
difficult to build a story with that many characters and try to give depth to all of them with such a small word count.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Apart from the fact that it's very like it just read like very weirdly. Like it read like I was reading like a game, or maybe like someone's fan fiction or something. It was it just kind of like peculiar. I think like the word for it is like blending. You kind of have to like I don't think it was like processed enough. I know obviously probably because like you wrote this in a hurry, right? Because didn't you write it in like one day or something?
Yeah, but to be honest, like even if I had more time, I guess if I had more time and more words, maybe like the details wouldn't like be all at the start, like describing all the characters. Yeah, but
Yeah, you're like you're an
Felt a
exposition
little
dump.
bit like an info dump at the
yeah,
beginning.
yeah. Honestly, though, like sometimes in some series, I do like it when like the author doesn't pretend at the start that it's not an info dump. But yeah, obviously it's better if you can
Yeah,
make it not feel like that. Um,
yeah, yeah. And sometimes if the world building is interesting enough, like in Lord of the Rings, like that has like a massive info dump.
yeah,
I don't even like at the start. It has like multiple at like various different points, but like
yeah,
it's fine because the world's like interesting enough.
I think it's the framing that makes the difference in how you can do a info dump.
yeah. So there's this anime called Horizon in the Middle of Nowhere, and like the first
Yeah. I remember seeing a few episodes.
and I think we should probably watch it because of how like it's like something built entirely out of anime tropes or something. And like the first episode is like just describing around 20 different characters or something crazy like that. Just an info dump about all of them essentially. um so yeah, that could be something. So let's see. Let's see what the chat has been up to. So I figured the Miko's names were generated. Yeah. Yeah, all sounds sort of randomly generated when it comes to Japanese names. Inuyasha may have ended quicker if Kagome just brought a revolver with her. Yeah, that's true enough. Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't come up with an appropriate weapon, so I thought like there's no weapon cooler than a revolver. So yeah, that will do. So
To be honest, revolvers are rather cool weapon.
yeah, yeah, a Miko with a revolver. So
Yeah.
yeah, okay. I think that's basically it for my story, which leaves Fahrenheit's story, which I'm sure has like a more detailed law about it as well. Well, let's hear it.
Yeah, well, this is exactly it's exactly 1,000 words. It took me a bit to like figure out how to make it 1,000 words, but it wasn't that difficult. I wrote this in like 3 evenings, and I think I got it out like pretty quickly. I don't want to think about it too much. I will say I was I don't want to like lie here. I was influenced by Berserk when I was writing this, but mainly through like the central premise where if you read the Golden Age arc, there's a point after Griffith and the Band of the Hawks have just won like the final battle and they've headed back to the castle, and it's observed by Griffith, and he sort of tells this to Guts that soldiers aren't really needed anymore. We have to learn to be like these aristocrats now or something, and like have to learn how to survive in the in the king's courts. And so I thought, what, like this idea isn't really explored that much, and so I'm gonna write about that basically, like how a staff officer / general in a army would reasonably deal with not 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 being at war basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So basically, it's the happy ending, Berserk, the happy ending, essentially. We have the, without the demon stuff. Yeah. Sorry, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I mean, it's not really historically accurate. It's out of time. Like the only thing I made an effort to include is like accurate geographic positions of like rivers and where like German states are sort of a position are positioned as well. So it didn't feel too like weird. Um, uh, what else can I say? I've kind of like forgotten like most of what I've written because I wrote it like a few days ago. I haven't like looked at it since. But basically, it's just about like a staff of a general staff officer asking a question. Can what can he do when the world has sort of left him behind, when he's no longer useful, and he's just sort of slouching around in the in the castle all day basically. I don't know, like I don't really want to like say much about it. But yeah, I think yeah, like one thing I do is that I often adopt the writing style of the most recent author I've read.
Mm-hmm.
So like right now I've been reading I've been reading Gibbon, right, the historian, and so that's why it's written the way it is. But before that, maybe this would have sounded like some like I don't know, like a Saul like thing. But yeah, but you can definitely see it when I talk about the pitched battle when they're sieging the castle. It's very it sounds a lot like just a standard like Roman siege basically, or Roman / medieval siege. That's basically straight out of out of Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Does anyone have anything to say about it?
so,
Yeah, no, I really liked it.
so the themes sort of reminded me of that that poem by I think Lord Alfred Tennyson called Ulysses, or however you say that, which which is about like yeah. I guess in that case the king decides to go back into the fray, even though he's an old man now, for one last time. Though in his case, I think it's more of a voyage. But yeah, but basically the same thing. What else is there to say? Yeah, I guess I would have liked more dialogue, but again with the word count, which I think
I felt good the way that it was like someone recounting these events in the past without much dialogue, just mostly pictures of the different moments, the different events, and mourning the losses.
yeah, it kind of felt like a poem or a prologue, I guess.
It reminded me a little bit of the ending of one Red Wolf stories, the one about Martin the Warrior.
Have you guys heard of?
And at the end of it, he just decides to leave everyone and wander and find a new purpose in his life after losing the love of his life, the woman that he thought he was going to
Yeah,
live with for the rest of his life. So I liked it.
yeah. I think I sort of. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's what sort of happens to Guts in Berserk as well, sort of. Not really. I guess after he has won the battle and whatnot, he doesn't want to I guess he doesn't want to become the character in Fahrenheit's story, sort of. I mean, if you ignore the stuff specifically the stuff with Griffith and about wanting to be his equal or friend or something like that. But there was also the fact that he was a warrior, not a I guess he was a noble warrior, but he wasn't like an
Yeah,
aristocrat.
exactly. An aristocrat. Exactly.
So I mean,
Even because nobleness is not just something about lineage. Sometimes it's about your values and
yeah,
the attitude you have towards life.
yeah,
So,
because even when it comes to lineage, usually the legitimacy, if you think about it, comes from the fact that their ancestors were warriors.
exactly, or that they achieved something.
Yeah, but they themselves may no longer be warriors anymore. So
Exactly.
in a way, you could say that by being a warrior, Guts is closer to being noble than the actual corrupt noble.
At least certain nobles.
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. What else do I have to say about? What about you, Captain Eric? Do you have anything to say about Fahrenheit's story specifically, good or bad?
For me, I really admire the Fahrenheit story. Well, I think it was well written. Seriously, I liked the German tent on the story, and yeah, in essence, it was really good, and I really admire it. I think it might be my preferred. Yes, my favorite.
Oh, thank you.
No problem.
All right then. Okay. So for next, is there going to be a next one? Do you guys want to do another one or not?
For me, yeah, could be.
Yeah, sure. I don't see why not. We've managed to produce 4 good stories.
Okay. So I guess we need a theme. So I think let's go with this. Let's find the antonyms for all the words we used last time, and do the opposite, I guess.
So it must be something about not nature. Therefore, must be something about
Man-made, artificial.
yeah, something about artificiality.
Yes.
So artificiality is going to be one of the words.
What's the opposite?
The other one,
Melancholy.
instead of melancholia, must be about probably either anger or
Happiness. Come on, something cheerful this time.
Okay.
So happiness, artificiality.
Happiness.
What was the other word?
Joyful, happiness or joyfulness, and the third one was looking at the past.
So looking at the future.
Are we writing an episode of Star Trek all of a sudden?
I guess so. So so the future, looking towards the future. Okay, looking towards the future.
Okay. A trademark future. Let's.
And I guess that rather than traveling, it would be staying in one place. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
Stay in one place. Okay. So the Ballad of Consumer
Consumer Jack.
Okay.
Okay, it can be satire. Why not?
Yeah, yeah.
I gave you the title too, just in
Oh no.
Okay, themes. So, do we do this next week, or is that not enough time?
maybe
Yeah,
next week.
sure, we can
Let's
do
do
it next
the.
week.
Yeah, okay.
Oh,
Let's try
I can't.
1,000 words again.
You'll do it without me next week because I am in the camp. I'm
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
He's a,
not at home.
yeah, it's his English teacher again.
Oh my gosh, this English teacher. We need to get rid of this person one way or another.
No, the English teacher it will be in a half an hour.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Well, a good look.
Thanks.
Hopefully all goes well.
Show her the story, I guess. Oh, don't show her
No,
my story
kill
though.
me.
Oh, she'll kill you.
Show her my story and say like and just say that you wrote it.
Mhm.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
that might be a good idea.
I mean, whatever you do, don't show her my story, of course.
She will be confused.
Yeah,
Or even
but
worse, you make this person into a weeb.
or even worse, she might think that you are a weeb.
That's the worst scenario, probably.
Next week's. Okay, so do you want to do it on Monday or Tuesday?
Maybe Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah, sure, Tuesday. Why not?
Yeah.
Um, maybe we should. I don't know. I think do you want to keep the word cap or increase it or
Increase
not?
it. Increase it.
Okay.
Let's say 1,500.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Remember, there is always with the World Cup. It's always like I think the rule is 15%. You can exceed or be a little bit below, but no more than 15%. So would be like either 1,200 to 1,800, but no more nor less. I would
Yeah.
say that be the rule of thumb, so to say.
Yeah. So we don't want a 100-word story or a 50,000 word story. So okay. About the book, well, I guess I kind of overestimated my ability to write this, watch Berserk, and read the guy Nat's book.
Yeah, the guy next book is quite
I'm back.
interesting.
Sorry.
I almost finished it. I've got like a few pages left, but there are so many names, so many locations. It's quite a dense book, and it's quite interesting though.
How about you, Fahrenheit? How far have you come in that book?
Well, I was planning on admitting to you today that I'm like just over halfway basically through it.
Okay.
And I definitely won't be finishing it by tomorrow. Mainly because I got very tied down in finding footage for Griffith Sigma grind set memes. Anyway, but so that's not important.
I'm sure it wasn't for Griffith, cat boy memes.
No.
Oh my gosh, no, please. I don't want to think about.
No, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It's only for like one frame.
Yeah. So how about this? Next Monday we do the book, and Tuesday we do the short story. Yeah. That's
We can have like a little bit of a shorter stream for the short stories, because anyway we don't need to go too much in detail.
Yeah, I think the only reason why we dragged on a little bit is because I needed to talk about Med RPG.
The details.
You absolutely had to. I'm glad with we now know about your creative process, right? Your
Oh no! Now you're going to steal it. It's over for me. Um, yeah. I'm probably going to use it for next week as well. Why not? Um, different characters though. I don't think I can be bothered with this anymore. Like this. I like have to I have to do like actual research about Mikos and whatnot. Like that can't happen. Because for example, I imagine like a lot of research must have gone into Rumiko Takahashi making what's it called, Inuyasha. It's a different monster every week. Anyway, then again, I don't have to actually draw the monster or something. I had just yeah. Right.
Yeah, that's the beauty of writing. You don't have to like draw anything.
Yeah. Maybe no. I don't have the time. I don't have the time to draw characters. But if any of you has too much time, then you could like do some extra service and draw some of the characters or moments or whatever from your stories or something. Okay. So I guess I'll pin these. Yeah. Okay. So now Fox is on holiday. So maybe I could ask him to contribute to our short story thing as well. Why not? Another thing. So, but I think that's it for the stories. So shall we end the stream? Yeah, let's end the stream.